What do you think happens after you publish your book? More sales, more clients, more speaking opportunities, perhaps more visibility. But for years, that's what I thought too. But what I've discovered, both in my own business and working with authors, is that most people are asking the wrong question because the book isn't the opportunity. The book is the invitation, the doorway, the thing that opens the door to partnerships, speaking engagements, premium clients, communities, experiences, and opportunities most authors never even consider. The problem? Most people stop at the book. Meanwhile, the people creating the biggest opportunities are building something much bigger. They're building ecosystems. And that's what we're unpacking today. Now, on this episode of the podcast, I'm joined by Paige Stapleton, Wall Street Journal #1 bestselling author, and Brian Stark, co-founders of Authentic Marketing. And together we're exploring why so many experts, coaches, speakers, and authors are sitting on valuable assets that they're not fully leveraging, and why your book should never be the finish line. Because the truth is simple. Your book isn't the business, it's the doorway. Enjoy the episode. Well, thank you, Paige and Brian, for being with me today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. All right. So why don't we do this way? Well, now let Paige, ladies first, you introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit about your background, and then Brian, you do the same, and then we'll get right into it.
That sounds great. And I want to thank you for having us. I mean, I'm so glad that we've been able to keep our relationship alive over all these years. It's not always been constant, but we're always kind of checking in with each other and watching what each other is doing and everything. So you're just somebody who I always want to stay connected to. I feel like I'm
Likewise.
already connected to your heart anyway. So
Likewise.
Um, so it's a real treat to be part of this. And yeah, so wow. Yeah, I think you met us back in the authentic marketing made easy days.
Yes.
Because Brian and I we've been in business almost 20 years we started out really helping healers and practitioners and service-based businesses to really get more clients and make more money while staying in integrity with their passion and their purpose, because marketing was so hard, was really challenging for them. They didn't want to do it. And even our clients today, a lot of them, they don't want to do it. We work with mostly coaches and consultants and speakers and experts, and some healers too, still.
Mhm.
And that challenge of just like not really wanting to sell yourself, not wanting to put yourself out there, not wanting to be inauthentic or feel salesy. So that's just been our mission for the last almost 20 years, to help people, even ourselves, become more comfortable with making sure that our message gets out there in an authentic way that's really true to us,
Mhm.
and but also can make the impact that we want to make and make the money that we want to make, because if we don't make the money, we're sitting in an office somewhere not being able to help people.
Yes, yes, yes. Or to drive through, say, may I take your order?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you want fries
exactly.
with that.
Exactly. Exactly.
So yes, so share Paige shared kind of like the business background and everything, and I'll give a little bit I'll go back in time a little bit farther. Paige and I both come out of the entertainment industry. I was out on tour with the Rolling Stones when I was 19, and it's kind of came out of the gate running, and then it's spent a lot of time on tour, and then worked in film and television in New York for years, for about 20 years, and learned kind of that was like where I first learned about marketing and connecting with people and connecting with audiences, and how do you get a mass of people to pay attention, to engage, and to do everything. Paige was a singer and a songwriter and had an all girls blues band in New York. And so she learned kind of the marketing from the performer and on stage piece. I was behind the scenes, and you'll see a lot of that coming up probably in our talk here as we kind of get into things. But we like to tie a lot of things into explain things through the lens of entertainment, which I think makes a lot of sense for people who are experts, who are creating books, who are being in the front of the room, who are being the experts, and kind of like putting it into a context that's easier to understand as opposed to some bland marketing terms, trying to make it more interesting and more engaging. Because, well, that's the secret to marketing authentically, is to be authentic and to be able to be engaging.
So agreed. Paige, both of you said something, but Paige, you said something in particular is that for creatives, I just would call creatives, rather, healers, authors, anyone who's in the creative space.
Yes.
I have found that there is such a strong feeling around the subject of quote unquote marketing. And what I uncovered with that is that for many people, the word marketing almost it kicks up a feeling in people like I'm asking for something that I'm not entitled to ask, or I'm pushing myself on people in a way that feels like I'm pushing something. And I just know from my own experience, myself personally, is marketing and sales and talking about someone receiving our product, whether it's a book or what have you, almost feels like we're almost has a feeling almost like panhandling, or like you're doing something that like you're doing something to someone, uh,
Right.
not
Right.
something for someone.
Right.
And I love to hear your takes on that.
Yeah. So it's so interesting because we have a system, we have something that's worked. It's really been successful for us and for our clients. So we have a marketing system.
Mhm.
That's one thing. But the bigger thing that we do most of the time is the mindset around the implementation of the things, right? And having the conversations and having, like you said, having it authentically and not feeling like you have to be somebody else over here in
Mhm.
order to get the people in so you can be yourself. We liken it to a theater. Like you feel like you have to be somebody else outside the box office, outside the theater, but you got to get people in the theater.
Mhm.
So what's really important is what's on that marquee outside to get people in the theater. And then you just have, you have at it because you're absolutely going to provide that value. I don't think
Mhm.
anybody we've ever met will not and cannot provide the value. People are, they've done their work, they've studied, they've taken the courses, they've gotten the certifications and all of that. They've taken the art classes or the writing classes, and that's all we want to do is our work, right?
Mhm.
But we can't really do our work unless we are letting people know about what we're doing
Mhm.
and asking them. And that's one of the big challenges for a lot of creatives is like we just want to put our stuff up there. I have a couple of books and I'm just like, I just want to put my books up there and just let them sell. Y'all, come on, just come get my book. Here it is right here.
Yeah.
And it's like so but that's just, the field of dreams is a big fat non-dream because it's not that you just build the book and they will come. At the end of the day, you've got to get it out there. You've got to position it. You've got to be in the right rooms with it and that kind of thing, and let people know why it's important to them.
Yes. Yes.
And I think of you bring up a really great point. I think that's why we have for nearly 20 years tacked authentic in front of marketing because it's trying to soften that a little bit because and I think that a reframe, especially for experts, that can really help in the creatives and people like you really know your craft. The Heath brothers in their book Made to Stick, which is an awesome book that you should totally check out if you haven't seen it yet, if you haven't read it yet. But it's they talk about this idea of the curse of knowledge. The curse of knowledge is that we forget what it is not to know something once we know it. If you've got enough expertise to write a book, there's a lot that you forgot what it was like before. So you've got to learn. So if you reframe marketing from marketing and sales and that kind of businessy stuff, and you actually this is a way I'm communicating the message that I'm trying to share with the world through my book, through my expertise, with other people, with a new audience. And if you can reframe it that way, that softens that marketing heaviness, but it also helps you to come up with the language to allows you to articulate what you're trying to communicate through your book, through your expertise, so people can actually start using it in their life.
Yes, I liken that to, understanding why you did it. What was your why?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And wherever, and again, and I completely agree with that, Brian, is we forget what it was like not to know something.
Mhm.
And my posture about it really has is, and I always say this to my clients, is before they can purchase our book, yes, they can go and find our book, you know, through the algorithm or what have you through Amazon organically, which many authors do rely on that
Right.
completely. But we also know that Amazon was it's a great platform for processing the order and collecting the money and sending the product out. There's also, we live in a world right now which is just barraged with all sorts of distractions as well. And Amazon, while I remember in the early days, was solely about books. Now it's about anything and everything that you could possibly, want from tube socks all the way down to,
Right.
cookies. So, so if someone is finding you organically on the platform, you're competing with everything else that they are on there shopping for. And just speaking about it from like you're not in front of your customer directly where they're hearing your message, they're connecting to your heart, they're hearing the words that are coming out of your mouth and the way you're saying things to connect with them, then your messaging then becomes written.
Yeah.
And again, if you're just talking about the product, but not talking about the reasons behind why that person's going to read about this and read that copy and read that messaging, they're still not going to connect with it, even if you got a really quote unquote great cover. And so I've been talking a lot about this with my clients is about getting really clear about the messaging part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the messaging gets perfected through the conversations that you're having with real life people who are experiencing the issues or the problems or the desires that your book is there to solve. So you can't really, in my opinion, effectively market anything if you don't really know what's going on in people's heads
Or coming out of their mouths.
coming out of their mouths.
Because whatever's coming out of their mouths is your marketing gold.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
so when you hear when we start with brand new business owners, we don't work that much with brand new business owners anymore, but there's always that first conversation of go and interview people. If you haven't worked with people, go and interview people that you would like to work with.
Yes.
Or if you have worked with people, interview your past clients and listen to what they're saying about how they felt before they started working with you, and don't change that language. Don't interpret it as you just diagnose them. This is really what was going on for them because they don't know. So that's just a great thing for any creative or any particularly service-based business owner to remember is like stay out of your lingo, because most of us do, especially when we're putting it together in a book. We've got our lingo, we've got our inside knowledge, we've got our inside language that
Mhm.
they're just not going to understand until they come into your theater and can listen to you over and over again, and you're kind of teaching them that language. So that language piece is just such a huge piece of it all for people to see themselves and to hear the problem and to hear the outcome that they're listening for. And if you're talking about it in your lingo, they're not going to hear it, and they're going to be like, soup, soup, soup. I'm just going by till somebody says the words that I'm saying.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think to add to that is that as experts and as having X number of initials after our names or having spent 20 years studying a topic or doing our 10,000 hours, we start looking at the causation of what's happening in people's lives and how that's showing up. And so we see the presenting symptom, but we're talking about causation and how to fix the causation. But that doesn't matter to our audience or to our client or to your reader or the people you're trying to impact or people who could be your clients. You've got to talk about the presenting symptoms. You've got to talk about the tangible thing as it shows up in their life. And if you can describe that in vivid detail about what that looks like, and because you know what the causation is, you have the confidence and certainty to be able to help them get out of that position. And if you've got the proof of having helped other people do that, that's like the trifecta of being able to actually really connect with people and move them through your client journey and having them go from finding your book or getting some of your content that leads to your book, that leads from your book to whatever your call to action is in your book, that leads to them being on the phone with you, which leads them to being in your programs or whatever your service offering is.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. I just want to, I have other questions for you, but for the
Yeah.
listener, I really want everyone to really hear this first part of what we're talking about because it really is the foundation of everything that you do. What I'm going to say to add on to what you both have shared is if you make that really your your mission, if you will, even if you're definitely in the process of writing the book or thinking about writing a book, or you've even, published the book, but that, as Paige said, interviews, the ongoing conversations with people and listening to what they say and writing down exactly what they say, how they said it, what emotions came up for them as they said it. That's your gold.
Yep.
That's
Hmm.
your gold. And
100%.
and this is the kicker. This is the thing that those conversations is actually your marketing.
Hmm.
They're
Hundred Yeah.
it's like that's your marketing. So
Yeah.
just in case you didn't catch that, that's your marketing. You're not,
That's your
and you're
marketing in
not,
a nutshell.
yeah, you're not doing anything to anyone. You're listening to people
Yeah.
and what's coming up for them. And if you've got the solution to help them, you don't have to hard sell them. It's not Oliver Twist might have a crust of bread, sir. You are you that's your marketing. So it
That's
just,
right.
we can actually stop the interview right now after that.
Boom.
Shortest podcast ever.
All right.
Got it?
Got it. Got it. Got it. Good. All right. All right, so let's move right into some other questions I have
Yeah.
for you. So, let me ask the first question. Why do you think so many experts still treat publishing a book like the finish line instead of the beginning of something bigger?
Hmm. I think that's a great question. And um, I think it's because
You know
for
what's
those,
funny? You may be asking yourself, why is he holding this book? Well, I'm holding it and it's not even finished yet. But you know what's something I want to tell you? It's already creating conversations, opportunities, it's creating podcast interviews, collaborations, and new relationships. And that's exactly the point. You see, most people think they have to wait until the book is done before they can start benefiting from it. But I believe actually the opposite. The moment you decide to build your authority, share your ideas, and create opportunities around your message that you've already started, okay? That's what the Entrepreneur Decision, this book that I'm currently working on right now, is all about. Now, as I said, this book is actually a mock-up. It's not even finished yet, but it's already creating opportunities for me. So if you're a coach, a consultant, a speaker, a creator, or an expert with a message to share, I'd love to give you a preview. If you'd like to download a free sample chapter using the link in the show notes or use the QR code that's on the screen, because I can guarantee you it might completely change the way you think about books. Now, again, get back to the episode that you're watching today and don't forget to download a sample chapter of this preview book that's coming up and the strategy that I'm using behind this book, which is actually completely blank on the inside. See you on the other side.
a certain age, bookstores were a thing. There were actually these things called libraries with
Mhm.
with all these little numbers to go find stuff before Google.
Yeah.
So I think that if you grew up pre-internet, pre-Google, a book represented knowledge, it represented something. And if someone became a successful author, if someone became a best-selling author, that was that was like the pinnacle of kind of other than getting a professorship and tenure someplace, that was the pinnacle of being able to say, I know my stuff. I had a publisher in New York or in San Francisco pay to run a press of my words and go through the whole process. And you actually could get decent publishing deals and you could get decent, residuals. That doesn't exist anymore because, going back to Amazon, it's a print on demand world now, and I think that unless you are, um, unless you go into Barnes and Nobles and there's an entire section devoted to you and you're a fiction writer. I'm just going to, it's not a nonfiction writer. You're a fiction writer. That's where you can make some money. You really make your money in taking those books and selling them to Hollywood and actually having them turned into movies. So there's not a ton of money in even traditional publishing anymore. And that's why so many houses are collapsing on each other and becoming these things. And you're seeing an imprint of an imprint of an imprint, which used to be a standalone publishing house. because the model doesn't work anymore. The model's shifting. I don't want to say it doesn't work, but there's still that there's still that gravitas of having a book. There's still being able to hold it up, just like Paige said earlier. Here's my book. It is for business, it's the ultimate credibility thing. One is because almost nobody takes the time or feels like they can, or God forbid, puts their message out there in print that is like black and white text. That takes a lot of we'll keep it clean. It takes a lot of guts, and you know, just from an internal mindset place, just to be able to do it. And that's why it's so awesome, like Rodney, that you're able to help people kind of birth and build that, because that's a sacred kind of trust that people have to go into and need guidance through. And it's almost impossible to do it on your own. Even if you're self-publishing, it's really hard to actually put out quality work without support. And I think that, so one is that you have a book, which is put you like in the top probably 1% of business owners. I don't know the numbers, but I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm probably the one. I'll say the top 5% just to be safe. So you've got a book that's instant credibility. That gets you on stages. That gets people to book you for speaking gigs. That gets people to have credibility. We got someone get on. We met someone at we were sponsoring and speaking at an event. We had someone come up to our booth afterwards. She was not necessarily, she was semi interested in what we had going on, but wasn't really, until she learned that Paige was a part of a compilation book that was a Wall Street Journal bestseller. And then all of a sudden she's on the phone with us 4 days later, and she's become a client 5 days later, because so
it had nothing in my book. This particular one right here, it's a part of a compilation, but it is a Wall Street bestseller. And it's a very, very personal story that I wrote. It has nothing to do with my business. It has nothing to do with my business. So, but it's right there on LinkedIn. I have it everywhere. I'm very open about what it is. I never say, yeah, I have this book, that's about business, because it isn't. It's a very, very personal journey. So it's really that kind of like graduated from Harvard kind of thing. It's just like, oh, you put in the work, to do the thing. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And I've worked on several book launches, and I've worked on a New York Times best-selling launch. And because of papers that were signed, I can't discuss what came out of making the list. But the majority of the money did not come from hitting the list. The majority of the money came from the clients that came through the marketing campaign, that got on the list, that came into all the different pieces after the fact. And that's the secret. It doesn't, and you don't have to be a New York Times bestseller to make money in business. You can literally, you get a book, you start working through the funnel, you work with like Rodney and his structure as far as being able to put the pieces together and how to build your book, and then moving it into a part of your, what we would call your marketing ecosystem. It's just a part of the ecosystem that you're putting in there, and it just becomes a marketing lever that can be pulled, that gives you credibility, that opens doors for you, that gets you through into the next place. It also is a great place for people to learn about you at a very low friction space, to learn about you, your methodologies, your ideas, and everything. And when they show up into your community, when they show up on your calls, when they start consuming all of your content, they're pre-sold on your expertise and how you can help if you've done the book well.
I will say, I think that is how a lot of mentors are being hired now. Certainly over the last few years, that's how we have hired mentors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a reader. I'll just say it to all the book lovers, and I appreciate you all. But I will listen to the audio. But I will listen to the audio of it, And I have actually read a few books this year, but mostly to help support us in their business and everything. But Brian is a big, huge reader. He'll sit down and read Harry Potter in a whole day. He's read every single one of them. But he reads a lot of business books, particularly around marketing. And so we have kind of gone gosh, how many times has it been over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think we've hired probably 4 or 5 mentors based on books.
Based on, saw they had this book, the way they titled it, the way they talked about it, perked up our ears of something we were wanting to learn or challenge with. and then buy the book, and then they have a lower ticket thing. It's like, oh, let's just see how their personality is, because you don't always get the personality with the book, and then see how that feels. Okay, and then
then they're getting a
hired
bunch of money.
several further on, and then there's a couple that's like, nah, you're not really our jam, but I like your information, but you're not really our jam.
Mhm. And they didn't make the money off the 20 cents that Amazon sent them for us buying the book.
Yes.
Right.
They made the money off of us going through their book funnel,
Yes.
which they don't have to give any of that back to Amazon or to the publisher or to anybody. That they got to keep all of that except for the 3 or 4% that went to the credit card, depending on what their merchant services look like.
Yes, yes, yes. You nailed it, Ryan. Brian. I mean, it was basically, I'll just say this. I mean, I am, I have no problem. I'm my age. I'm 62 years old. I grew up in libraries. Libraries was my church. And so I remember, you found books by whatever the code was
The
that it was
Dewey Decimal
assigned
System.
to, the Dewey Decimal System. And, I knew microfiche and all that good stuff. Like I was, yes, I have no shame about it. Yes,
Right?
that was
Yeah,
me. That
same,
was me.
same.
That's what I learned. And so, what I say about all of that is that I have such a reverence and a respect for books and for the people who create them, because I grew up always believing and feeling that way. And I still feel to this day. Maybe the forms that they now take, that you were saying, Paige, that, you listen more. I'm now at the stage where I have to read, listen at the same time.
Yep.
I love that. My favorite. Yes.
Don't
Yes.
quite have the concentration level I used to
Stay
have
on
to sit down
track.
and read a book. But I love that even more, because that goes to what I talk about so much
Mm.
for us as author creators, entrepreneurs, I like to call us, is because guess what? We get to make all these cool experiences now. If I can read and listen to the book at the same time, I'm taking on two learning modalities at the same simultaneously, which is really deepening my level of knowledge. It's deepening not my knowledge, but it's deepening my connection to the content that I'm consuming. And what's beautiful about what's happening now with the digital space, whether you do audio physical or audio digital book, is that there are links all throughout the book
Yes.
that go to maybe a YouTube video,
Hmm.
or a recorded webinar, or some other piece of content. Now think about it from the place in which we talked about at the very beginning about distractions and being able to hold people's attention. If our job is to create an experience around what we've created, in this case, context a book, and we provide a variety of different options to be able to consume that content, guess what? You are now deepening that connection with that person, because they are doing the most precious commodity that is non-renewable, and it's our time.
Hmm.
And if I can listen and I can read and I can spend time consuming what you created, maybe go watch some YouTube videos, maybe I can go watch a podcast interview that you were on or whatever. I'm investing time in you, which moves me closer to when I'm ready to work with someone. You're at the top of the list if I
That's
don't
right.
do it right then,
Hmm.
That's right.
because of the amount of time that I've invested in you. So again, take what we're talking about here. If you don't structure what well, put it like this, we have such a massive opportunity as author creators to be able to, as Brian said, 5 people can walk in the room, all accountants, but the one person that wrote the book about something is always going to be the one that people are going to gravitate to, because what's the book? Brian mentioned a book earlier. I don't remember the name of it. I didn't write down, but I'm going to ask you about that to put in the show notes, but I want to go look up the book just because you mentioned it.
Hmm.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
because you mentioned it. And so again, we are in such a great position by being an author. But if you are only relying on just it being on a platform that you hope somebody finds, my God, how much are you missing out on? And the people that you're really here to help because they just don't know you exist,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know?
And the beautiful thing is, gosh, the book is just the beginning, right? It's just the beginning.
Hmm.
And if you just let it die on the vine, basically,
Hmm.
it's such a sad thing because it's like right in there is like so much juicy, wonderful content and messaging for you to get out into the world.
Hmm.
Is like, we talk a lot with our folks about repurposing,
Hmm.
whether it's their book or their talk or whatever. We have a whole ecosystem that ties together, um, and that we talk about. And it, it's not that people aren't smart enough or anything like that.
Hmm.
It's just you don't really kind of realize always all the ways that you can use your content, social media, in talks. You can actually pull some of that out. And especially with AI now, you can so easily just load that book up and pull so much wonderful, beautiful content out there for every situation. I mean, speaking, a podcast, it can help you stay on message, and it can really get that message out there and keep reminding people over and over again about what you're about and what your message is about, and why they need to listen to you, and which can flow back to you selling that book online,
Hmm.
right?
Mhm.
Hmm.
It's not to mention all the work that you could do with people,
Exactly.
as far as having them know you better and want to work with you.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say that I think repurposing is the key to as a solopreneur, as an entrepreneur, you are wearing all of the hats.
Yes.
One of the reasons that I think that kind of going back to your initial question around marketing is one of the reasons that I think that marketing has a lot of weight to it is not just because it feels like you're having to do a song and dance to get people to pay attention to you and all that stuff. And if you're trying to trend on TikTok, you probably are doing a song and dance. But that's a whole aside. But but it's also it's it can feel like, and it used to it's gotten so much better now with a lot of the tools that are available to us now, but it's a lot of work to do marketing and to do marketing well and to actually have it convert. And if you've been in the game as long as the three of us have, where you're like, where it used to, you didn't have your buddy ChatGPT or your French friend Claude or Gemini or any of the other ones to support you
Yes.
in actually leveraging this and scaling this. And you had to spend a lot of time just pulling the pieces together. I'll tell you, as an author, whether no matter if you've got the finished book, you're in the process, you've done the outline, if you've got some ideas that you've already put together, drop them into ChatGPT, use this prompt, pull out 10 mic drop moments from this text. It will give you 10 of the best mic drop moments in there. Then tell it, click the little plus button, go to create an image and say, create a thumbnail for each one of these. And then you will have 10 amazing thumbnails. And if you actually put in if you upload some examples of your website or of whatever your branding is, it will actually brand it out for you. You will have amazing looking content that you could post today, either post book launch, talking about go check out my book on Amazon, or I've got a book coming up. You want to check it out. These are the things.
That's a great tip, Brian.
Yep.
I love that a lot. I use AI a lot for just that purpose. That's a great tip. And that addresses the question that so many people are, again, who are solo marketing. They don't
Mm-hmm.
have like a consultant like myself or like what, you and Paige, do with clients. But that's a great tip because a lot of people, again, of course, well, so I'm going to go here. The most rookie way to do AI, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
of course, please give me your contrarian one if you have one, but is to go and not just say, write this for me or create
Mm-hmm.
this for me.
Mm-hmm.
And but you get the best use of AI as your assistant when you're feeding it information based on what you are talking about. For an
Mm-hmm.
example, this interview that we're doing right now, I'm going to take the transcript of this and I'm going to plug it into ChatGPT, and I'll definitely use your prompt. I love that prompt. I didn't know that one, and ask it to pull out what's the
Hmm.
hot talking points. Um, you know, it really is our assistant. It's not supposed to just create from us for scratch because it's going to pull from everything it already knows. We have to feed it
Yeah.
the information. It's another reason why I always push my clients so much to do is why I launched the podcast, because podcasting is a wonderful opportunity for you to talk about your work, talk about your mission, your message, talk about all of that. And then once that's recorded, post on a platform like YouTube, then you've got that transcript that then you can use AI to then be able to help you to create all these mini what I call little mini messages out there, like talking out for you. Because
Yeah.
again, we're living in an attention deficit society.
Hmm.
Maybe that one little sound bite that, Brian was saying that they hear will go, a talking point will be like, oh, I'll go listen to the full episode.
Yes.
Again,
Yep.
so go ahead.
Yeah, that's good. 100%, 1,000% agree. I think the 100% emoji should be 1,000% emoji for what you just said. But the way that we talk about it when we try to talk about AI is that AI, if you think about AI as your $20 a month intern, it
Hmm.
just graduated. Like we live in the Research Triangle, North Carolina. So it's UNC, Duke, and State, right? So it's three great schools. I say that, biting my tongue a little bit. There's one really good school, and then two average schools that are here. But but just graduated right now when we're recording this, it's May. So it's like the graduation's happening. So you're getting this intern, which is totally excited and ready to go and so eager and but doesn't know a darn thing about you, your book, or your business.
Hmm.
So if you just say, go and do this for me, it's just going to go and pull from everything that it's been studying for since most AI has got, all of human knowledge in it. So it's like pulling from the last like 3,000 years. It's like you're going to get this hodgepodge of stuff. But if it's got specific things that you've added to it, your book, your knowledge base, the way that you think, the things you would never say, like just spend some time training it, you will get output that is phenomenal for $20 a month,
Hmm.
because it's like, and it can shift everything for you, and it will make you go from kind of looking like all the other AI slop that's out there and actually have it look like you've got a marketing team working for you.
Hmm. 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 Yeah, it's been a game changer for me. I remember when I first was introduced to ChatGPT, and it took me a minute to wrap my head around it. But once, because I'm an old school researcher, like
Hmm.
I said microfiche, so that tells you, again, how long I've been in the game. And to be able to have a powerful tool like that, again, and once you learn how to train it, because that's what it's really designed to do. It's the same as if you hired an intern, as
Hmm.
you mentioned a moment ago, Brian, you have to train them on your systems, your ways of doing things.
Mhm.
And again, I spent many years writing email newsletters for my clients from
Hmm.
scratch. So that coming up with an idea, what's the topic going to be this week? What's the angle going to be this week? All of that, to now being able to verbally speak out my ideas, are called a verbal brain dump, if you will, of
Hmm.
everything that I'm thinking about, and being able to feed that into a platform that can shape it. As I continue to feed it what I needed to know about me, to shape it and have it to understand my voice, my style, my cadence, my
Yeah.
personality. So it has to sound like me, you know. Um, it's such a wonderful resource and tool for us. And again, if you've written a book, you've got tons of you've got foundational material right there to feed into it. So you never have to worry about running out of content. I want to talk about something the three of us spoke about privately
Hmm.
before we got to the interview. We talked about operating in silos instead of ecosystems. What does that actually look like? Because I really want to dive into that more since we're talking about the content piece so much.
Yeah, I think we started seeing, I mean, listen, we were watching ourselves do it too. um, watching that people were spreading themselves out, and they were trying to do all the things at the same time. And it was just like
Mhm.
and it's just like you can't keep a steady connection and build relationship. Like, in this space where we are, we're in transformational work, the majority of us here.
Mhm.
And certainly here in this room we are.
Mhm.
But so we have a big message to get out there. And we are all about building relationships. It's a relationship driven. We're not all here just to make money. We're here to really, really help people. And we want to build relationships. And so that's that kind of social marketing is really what we're about. And I'm not talking about just social media. I'm like connecting with people. And so what we've found through the years and done ourselves is we're trying all these things, and there's no cohesion, and we're like starting over from the beginning every single freaking time.
Mhm.
It's just like, what's the freebie gonna be this time? What's or I forgot to do a freebie. I forgot to ask for the sale, or I forgot to ask for them to jump on the phone with me. I just presented here I just did this talk, and I just put my website up there and my email address. And now you're making the people do the work. You do the work for them, make it easy for them, as easy as possible.
Yes.
And if you're just over here doing social media, that's the silo piece of it. Just over here doing this tactic,
Mhm.
this kind of channel, this channel, we'll call that a channel, and then doing all the tactics on that channel.
Mhm.
And then we're doing a speaking thing, and that's another channel. We're doing all the tactics on there, but we're not necessarily connecting. That's just example, just those two. We're not connecting those so that they actually feed each other. And that's just two. We usually have our clients pick three that they're
Mhm.
working on, pick a major one that they're really focusing on, and then have two that we're supporting that.
Mhm.
So that all of a sudden, and I experienced this myself very vividly, because a couple of years ago I had to have a hip surgery out of the blue. And I'd always, for what, over 10 years, 10, 15 years, I had always gotten business through networking and speaking and sponsoring and like being live in the room with people.
Mhm.
And then when I couldn't go out, I literally was in a walker, and I could go out in a cane. I could not go out in a walker. I'm like, I can't, I draw the line. I just couldn't do it because I knew it was temporary. And so there was a time that I was stuck at home and wasn't really going out. And I just started getting on social media. Well, what started to happen, Brian was helping me do videos and stuff like that and content, mostly telling client stories. That was my social media, just telling client stories. I highly recommend it for everyone. It's really powerful. But I found that then when I started going back out again, people thought they knew me. I'd never met them in ever, but they'd been watching some videos and watching some content, and then I'm in the same room with them, and they already know me. So that's what we work with in our client momentum accelerator with our folks there, because we help them to like bring that all together so they're not having to work so darn hard. They're not having to keep doing the same starting point over and over again, and they're just reusing their stuff. They're tweaking it and making it better, but they've already got that foundation, the core. And so if you stop working in just the silos of whatever channels you're working,
Mhm.
and get that all connected, people feel that because they see you. They feel like, people used to say to me all the time, you're everywhere. You're everywhere. And that's great. And when those channels are working together, that's what you got, and that's what you want.
Yes. Yes. I want to address something here, Paige, you said a moment ago, and this is something that I personally struggled with for a minute. I don't anymore, but I used to struggle with, and I still hear it a lot from my clients, is being on camera, being on video.
Oh, Lordy.
I listen, I 1000 get it, totally get it. I took pride in being what one of my clients referred to me as the back office. I took pride in it. It was like if you say yes, that I wear that badge, honorably. And then I realized, well, it was a moment where this literally was the verbiage that came to me on a walk. I used to live in Santa Cruz, California, and I was going for a walk one day. And I'm a person of faith, and I said, and I heard this literally said to me, is that you are no longer to be a supporting cast member in someone else's show.
Hmm.
Mm,
And I knew what that meant.
mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, I guess I'm going to be a stunt double then because I'm never getting on camera.
I gotta
Whatever.
find another job, y'all. Oh my gosh.
It was so hard for me. And it was actually through a coaching program that I've had for 4 years that I do it on Zoom every week with them. And I'm always on camera. And one of my students, one of my members said to me, says, Rodney, you're on camera with us every week. Just put it up on YouTube.
Hmm.
And it was like,
Nice.
oh, that's right. I am doing it. And I found for myself when someone comes to me to work with me or potentially work with me, I ask, how did you find me? And more often than not, they'll say, I saw you on YouTube or I saw a video of you. That totally was like the thing. So the struggle is real.
Yes.
What advice do you have for someone listening to this who, again, we tend to want to, going back to authorship, we want to, quote unquote, hide behind the book. But I'm always saying we have to get in front of the book. I learned that the hard way, but we want to get in front of the book. And you're struggling with that because you said before you can get up on stage and speak, and some people can do that. But the idea of being on camera is just like, oh, no, I'm not doing that.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And it's really interesting because I have so much to say about that. So I'll keep it kind of brief here. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. That'll be another episode. But because I will say I was an actress. I was a singer. I was an actress. I was used to being in front of people. I was used to that. But man, when you're talking about your own business, it's a totally different story,
Mhm,
right? It's just a different thing. It was for me.
mhm,
And talking about business and everything. So when I started doing video, I tell this when we speak, sometimes I'll tell this story about when Brian started helping me to make these videos, and I got all duded up and everything ready to go. And we had a 4-story house, and I was walking down the stairs because our bedroom was way at the top. And I was walking down the stairs, and I just could feel the nausea. I could feel the sweating. I could feel the internal dialogue of, who do you think you are? No one's going to listen to you. You don't know anything. You know nothing. What are you going to say? What are you going to say when you get down there? I mean, it was rough. It was a tough little gremlin in there, just really trying to keep me down. And by the time I got to Brian, he had everything all set up. And by the time I got down there, he just looked at my face and he's like, what? And I said, I can't do this. And I just burst out crying, just hysterically crying. And he's so beautiful. And, we've been together almost 20 years. And he said, listen, just sit here on this chair right here. Okay. Now just tell me a story. Tell me about Fiona. You may know Fiona.
mhm,
Um, because she had a lot of success working with me at the time. And she's an incredible, incredible speaker. And anyway, so he said, just tell me a story about, when this last thing that just happened, with her success that you guys have had together. And that just broke everything down. And what it did was it took the attention off of me and what I know and what I want to tell you and teach you. And it was just like, let me just share this experience
mhm,
with you and see if you see yourself in that experience. And if you do, what can you what kind of metaphor could I be using, or what kind of lesson, or what can you learn from this? And that's how I started doing all the videos, was just telling stories. And I got, within 30 days of that experience, I had three 10K clients
mhm,
that were reaching out to me because they had seen my videos.
mhm,
And I say that to make the point that one is if you can take the attention off yourself, because our nerves are only about what people are going to think about us.
Yes.
Right? Our nerves are just about that.
Yes.
And then just the beauty of story, it takes, talk about pressure that, like marketing pressure that it takes off of you.
Yes.
It's just incredible when you're like, I'm just telling a story. I just had a call with my client, and this is what she said, and then this is what I said, and then this is what she did, and then this is what she has now. That kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yes. Yes.
And Brian is just like, he is the story dude. Like, he knows the story for sure. We both have come from families of storytellers.
Well, that's how we are. I mean, it's a society, I
Hmm.
mean, that's how, we listen to the stories from generations, from grandparents and great grandparents and the stories they're telling us, the stories that were said, to them. And what I love about that, and I'm going to label it a strategy, but is that again, if we take it off of us,
Hmm.
and people also too will take much more credence in what you say when you are talking about someone's experience
Mm-hmm.
with us, as opposed to, yeah, I did this and this is what I did and this is who I am and blah 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 blah. And no one wants to, hear that. I mean, yeah, they want to know that you have some credential and know what you're talking about,
Right.
but they want to see, okay, how did he help someone else?
Yes.
Where did they come from? When I created, this used to be called a different name for the podcast, but I created this podcast again. I added it on to the program I was already doing because I said, you all have put together this beautiful book. Now I want to interview you. None of them have been interviewed before on a podcast. And I put that in there as a part of it to interview them. And it was like they were saying, I've never talked about.
Mm.
I've never talked about myself. I've never talked about, and it wasn't like, for example, I had one client, Lorraine. Lorraine was a nurse in the UK, and the unit that she worked in, there were all three or four nurses all in the same unit, and all of their name was Lorraine. And because she had this other name she called, I couldn't remember, and I was like, "How did you come up with that name?" She said, "We had to figure out other ways to communicate because when someone called Lorraine, it was four of us, like going, yeah,
Lorraine C, Lorraine T.
you know." But what she had done was she had created a book, and she loved sarcastic wit, and it was like illustrated book talking about that. And this in the interview, the story behind the creation of the book was that it was a stressful job. It was highly, because it was I think she was still in nursing, or she had just left it right after COVID when she started working with me. And she said that the only way that they could keep themselves, together and keep from wanting to put a pillow over their patient's face
Oh my God.
was the fact that they use sarcasm
Mm.
as a way to kind of deal with the stress of it. And they were just, all of her book was all sayings that they said to one another. And again, I know nothing about nursing. I know nothing about, that whatever she went through. But that story to me it was so interesting to me because I understood the why behind how she was inspired to create the book.
Yes.
And we've all felt the pillow over someone's face before too.
Yes.
That's where she connected with everybody.
People were raising their hands left and right. Yeah, me too.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
That's what you
Exactly.
want in a story is people go, oh my God, me too. Oh my God, that is hysterical.
Well,
Me too.
and from a speaker's perspective, imagine if that's your opening line. Have you ever had that feeling where you want to just put the pillow?
Yep.
Exactly.
Everyone's like looking around like,
Right? Yes.
you know,
It's a good
but
whiplash moment right there.
but think about that though. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where you create connection. People
Mhm.
go, Wait a minute, what?"
Yeah, they're leaning in, right?
They're
Even
leaning in.
especially if you come to the place of And this is great for your creatives here, because you're storytellers by nature anyway. And and if you drop down into the moment,
Mm.
so instead of telling them this is what happened, so I'm standing there with that pillow and
Hmm.
I'm like inches away from my whoever it is knows. And
Hmm.
I'm like, am I gonna do it? Like they are leaning in. They're like, did you do it? Did you
Did you
do
do it? Yes, exactly.
it?
Exactly. 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 And once you hear that, well, that's such a great opening. And I love the way your voice tone dropped and you said it very, but all of that's a part of the art
Mhm.
Yes.
of
Yes.
making really great content that doesn't, and again, we're going back to the top of the conversation. You're not doing something to someone and you're not talking about yourself and your accomplishments and all of that. You're talking about the connection point.
Hmm.
Mhm.
You're talking about the thing, the moment, the pivotal moment when you had to make a decision in the moment. Do
Hmm.
I remember the oath I took or do I put the
Mm,
you know,
right.
and it's like, but to be able to talk about that again, they connect. Now, someone may be horrified by that and go, oh my God, this person's crazy. Or they may go, wow, yeah, I've had that moment.
That's right. And those are
And
that's who
and
you're
if and
talking to anyway.
the person who's like horrified by that is not going to appreciate the sarcasm in the book, so they're not going to buy. So it's good to actually have that polarization happen too.
Yes,
And
yes,
that's an important thing with content creation, with marketing, frankly, with any creative process is to don't call out your people and don't be afraid to turn off the people that aren't your people.
yes,
Speak to your audience. Don't try to find the middle. Just speak to your people. There
yes.
are billions of people on the planet. There
Mhm.
are hundreds of millions of people in whatever niche you serve. You can never possibly sell them enough books or service them through your product or so you're never going to run out of people to connect with. But if you try to connect with everyone, you're going to connect with no one. So you
Exactly.
want to really get clear about who your audience is, who you're speaking to, whether that's writing your book, creating anything, certainly with creating your marketing.
Hmm.
Because all marketing channels are one-way conversations. You've got to be really clear about who you're talking to, what their pain points are, what their psychographics are, what gets them to actually take action. We've been hardwired for 10,000 years and it hasn't changed. That's really awesome news.
Yeah.
Marketing, marketing, marketing is marketing is marketing. Once you understand how and why people make decisions and what happens, you can use that information for good or you can use it for ill. So we're not. That's like a 5 hour podcast. But
Mhm.
but it's but if you understand that the psychology's been the same for 10,000 years, and you can put your stuff in front of people and get them to take action and get them to start to consume your content, and you can educate them and you can help them move them along their for our clients to be their transformational process. Good on you. That's using it for good.
Mhm.
That's moving it forward. And it's worth the time to lean into it and start to understand that and to spend the time to learn how that works. Because you can pick up a marketing book from yesterday. You can pick up a marketing book from 1920. You can pick up a marketing book from 1820. They're all talking about the same exact principles.
Yeah. It's just how you apply them.
And the
Mhm.
fact that I said marketing book for all of those tells you how important books are.
Right,
Yeah, our house is a little cray cray on the book situation.
right. Yeah, yeah.
And
It's
to
the
and to
truth.
go back to that just really quickly, Rodney,
Hmm.
that to go back to that doing something to versus doing something
Mhm.
for, I wouldn't still be in business at all if I thought that when I was having a sales conversation with someone that I felt like I was doing something to them.
Mhm.
Like they have choice whether to be in front of me or not. They can leave at any time. I do not
Hmm.
chain people to anything.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I move everything to, and I even talk about doing stuff on social media is sharing, speaking
Mhm.
is sharing. I'm in service. Who am
Hmm.
I going to be in service to today? If I come from that, whether I'm on a call with somebody who's curious about what we do, or I've just met them and we're just connecting, I'm always in constant conversation with myself around making sure that I am serving them in the best way I possibly can, whether that's a sales conversation, whether that's a connection conversation, whether that's a sharing on social media, whether that's a talk I'm doing, whether I'm networking, whether I'm sitting at a dinner that has nothing to do with business at all. It's
Hmm.
always about, and if you can say, letting you know that, because the people that I am here to serve are in pain. They're either really in pain in some kind of way in their life, or very frustrated or something, and something's got to give. And if you don't let them know, and if you don't ask them, would you like some help with that? Then they're just gonna they're first of all, they're just gonna go to the next person who actually will do that.
Exactly.
That's something that lit a fire under me one time,
Hmm.
after, because we used to get, we used, that's how we would see you at events and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And like I think it happened about 3 or 4 times where somebody we talked to, they didn't take us up on our offer, and then they went to somebody else and they
Hmm.
bought like right away, and I'm like, well, yeah, Paige, well, you didn't ask them, so they just went to somebody who
Hmm.
asked if they could
Hmm.
help. And it's like that's being of service. Asking.
Exactly. 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 I want to circle around to the monetization piece because I
Mhm.
started doing a session with my school community, the post creator school community. I'll put the link in the show notes where I do what I call monetization mapping.
Mm.
And what it basically is, again, when you're listening to this, we're talking about the money. Now, Brian said something earlier, which I completely want to come back to about how much money, quote unquote, we make from book sales. And of course, I'm just going to use Amazon, print on demand. Yeah, $3, $4 or whatever the case may be you're making per book. It could be more than that, but on average, it's about $3 to $5 that you're making, and you have to wait 60 days to get it.
Oh,
And I want to circle back to the fact that so many of us, once you've done all of the things that we're talking about today, you can create content, you're building connection, people are, buying your book, or they want to at least inquire more about it. But the book is really, again, maybe fiction authors is different, it's a different category, but for nonfiction, I'll just say, is one step into I call it like your appetizer, if you will.
Mhm.
yes.
Yep.
What's the entree? What's the dessert? That's where the real money opportunities are. And so what I've been really talking about with my clients is how can we create experiences that the book could be the entry level point into that? Because again, that's where the real money really
Hmm.
is. It's
Mhm.
not just in book sales, what I call onesie twosie book sales. That's a slow grind. You can do that, of course, but where the real income opportunities lie is all the things that we can create as a result of the book,
Hmm.
from courses to masterminds to retreats. There's just so much more we can do now. What, based on what I've just said, and I know
Hmm.
you mentioned a moment ago, I know you can't speak in the specifics, but I know you were saying that with the funnel that you worked with this one client that you had, that the income generated was a result of the book, but it wasn't the book sales is what kept the lights on.
Yeah.
uh, could you speak to that a little bit more
A
and just
a
kind of
hun-
give
a
some
100%. Now, actually, we'll go back and talk about, we'll use Amazon again, just because they seem to be our fun example today,
Mhm.
is that when you make a sale on Amazon, you don't get the lead. You don't get the contact information. They're not your customer. You get the referral fee. You get paid by Amazon, but that's not your customer.
Mhm.
It's Amazon's customer. That's
Mhm.
why, like when Rodney said earlier about links to YouTube's, links to worksheets, links to that, that's how you move people from your book into your community, into your container. You have them opt into something. You have them get into we'll use the marketing term funnel. You have them get in the top of your funnel so that you can start to communicate with them and start to connect with them a different way. That's the very first thing is like, what are when you're when and this I know that Rod, because we've talked about this. This is what Ronnie does with his clients, is like get really clear about what are the things outside of the book that we can drive people to so that we can monetize,
Mhm.
because Amazon's nailing monetization. You can tell by the yacht that Jeff Bezos rides around in. He's
Yes.
good. He figured it out. We got to figure it out for ourselves. So the first thing is to get them on your list so you can actually market to them, as Paige said, communicate with them, get them into your community. The next thing to think about is what a lot of you'll hear the term kind of client journey a lot of times in marketing and business, uh, in the business world. But think about what are the steps that make sense for um, and if you think about like back in the day, so this is again, I don't know if they have these anymore. They did when we were young, and they were in the Scholastic Book Fair. If you don't know what that is, Google that. That was a good time. But the pick your own adventures, right? So it's a think of like the client journey as your pick your own adventure book, where they're going to come in through the YouTube, or they're going to come in for a specific worksheet, or they're going to come in someplace into the journey of your business. And then think about what are the steps that I can take them through? How can I support them? How can I give them micro wins? The biggest way to build know, like, and trust. One of them is to, like Rodney said, you've got the book, they're learning it, they're seeing a video, they're consuming your content in different ways. And as long as it all reinforces, and as long as there's nothing that has them go like that, they're there. You're sticky. Everything that you're talking about is sticky to them. It's like Velcro, you're connected. What you want to do is you want to think about what are the ways that I can, now that I've got them, now that I'm sticky, how can I help them have a small transformation in their life that is even a uh, uh, just this micro shift that can happen for them. Because if you can make micro shifts happen for them in a short amount of time, and think something like 12 to 48 hours, if you can come up with something that can have them take action on something that they've been struggling with for most of their life, and they can see something implemented in a few hours, chances are nobody else in their life has ever done that for them. And that's why they're searching on Amazon at 3 o'clock in the morning, trying to find a book that will solve the problem.
Mhm.
Right. So you start offering little solutions that open more and more doors on their choose their own adventure towards whatever that is. A really great thing that you can do is have a offering that basically is you walking through the chapters of your book. That's the easiest thing for an author to do. Create a program that is you walking through, and you can do it live once right after your launch, package it up, and then you can sell it as a thing where it gets dripped to them. There's all kinds of different programs that can drip it out to them. So it's a 12-week program if you got 12 chapters. Boom, 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 boom. You do it live once on Zoom, just like we're doing this podcast right now. You're done. Package done. You have that lead to a mastermind or to some private coaching, or we're talking like in the coaching and expert world. But think about what are the things that I can create that will solve problems for them.
Mhm.
To get people into your world, you want to solve what is a very tangible problem that you can address that will get people in the door the fastest and get them to commit the quickest. If you've got like you're doing some big life transformation thing and you're helping them with a ton of stuff, that might be too much for somebody who just read your book to actually kind of jump into the deep end with you. So
Right.
what's the kiddie pool option that you can do that can bring them in for a low price point so they
Mhm.
can work their way up to the high jump?
Mhm. Mhm.
So I don't know if that answered your question or if I just rambled on there for a while.
No, it was perfect. It was perfect. Absolutely. No, it was perfect, Brian. And I'm even gonna flip the script a little bit
Yeah,
about
yeah.
like a chapter of the book, and turn it into a course. Where I've really begun, I'm working on my book right now called The Entrepreneur Decision. And actually I'm doing the reverse. So I'm doing webinars right now. I'm calling
Hmm.
them webinars. And actually I've been wanting to write another book for a minute, but I just haven't been able to wrap my head around what the book was going to be about. And then I've done like 3 rounds of this webinar. I'm still working on still
Yeah.
perfecting it, but it actually, the response to the webinar was so great, but it also gave me a chance to, my favorite word in the world is, it gave me a chance to workshop my
Hmm.
content, my ideas.
Yep.
And it was, again, taking the transcript from those webinars and running it through ChatGPT and asking it certain questions. And I went, I'm actually writing the book.
Mm.
So my thing is, if you can start to teach or create some kind of an experience around the content beforehand that you could, dare I say, actually charge for and
Hmm.
actually be paid to write your book.
Uh, 100%. And then what I would do from a business model perspective, I would do that, not offer replays for those, or if people paid for it, give them the replays, package, cut it up, edit it, put it together, sell it on the back end as the product that comes out of the funnel. So people, you build the book by doing the webinars. You've got people paying to be on those webinars. You sell the book, you drive people into your top of funnel, and then it's a part of that funnel. You're selling the webinar that you already recorded, which is basically the book. So it's like that's something that you're again repurposing, and I think that's the power of where we're at, not just with ChatGPT, but with a lot of the tools. Like there's a lot of video editing things. You can drop stuff into like something like Opus Clip. It can cut stuff up for you real quick. You can have reels that are coming out of that you can start promoting the book, start promoting the webinar, start promoting the course after the webinar and after the book drop. Love that. Love that.
Yeah.
Clearly, I got a little excited there.
Yeah, no, no, I love it. I love it. I love it because it's the thing that, like I said, many of us, we get so into our head. I mean, there was a time back in the day where, yeah, here's what you did. You sat down and you wrote the book.
Mm-hmm.
It might take you 6 months, it might take you a year or longer for some people, just depends. And then, but this is pre-Chat GPT. This was back in 2009. I did a 14 speaker telesummit when it was all audio. There was no video back then. The only audio resource we had back then was Skype. You know, when Skype still exists anymore.
That's right. It would never stay up. Talk
about the pencil in the eye. But anyway. But that was what it was. There was no Zoom. There was none of this stuff that we have now. This was old school.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening was I took those, the inspiration from those recordings, and I started writing a blog. And I spent a year working on that blog. But this was what the thing was before I started the blog, because I had all this intel. I said, I'm going to actually repackage these blog posts into my book. So I already knew that's where I was going to go with it. So I was learning about content repurposing back in 2009, 8, 9.
Yep.
And that's when I realized, and I just want to put this caveat on there, that telesummit built my email list from nobody knowing me. I have a saying I like to say, nobody knowing me from a can of paint. To having an 800-person email list in less than 30 days with an event that I created where because I wasn't the focus anymore. I was interviewing people who were experts in this particular industry. I turned that content into a blog and that content into a book. So I was building relationship as I was building my content back then. And when the book came out, and it's what I call my 15 to 15 story, someone who had been following me all along bought my $15 book and then hired me a month later for a $15,000 contract.
Yes.
Nice.
I love it.
So I learned then, back in 2009 and 10, the power of content repurposing when we didn't have any of this stuff that we have now. It's so much easier now.
Because back in the day, we had to create content going uphill both ways through the snow, people.
Exactly.
True.
Ice and snow, man.
No, but I totally feel your pain, and I think we were there, and I think that's what gets me so excited about these tools that are available now, is that it's stuff, because it's like being in the trenches. Some of the things that we're doing with kind of like looking at ideal clients and kind of digging into that, used to have to hire that out to an agency for 3 months and tens of thousands of dollars, and them doing focus groups and getting really clear about stuff. With the right prompt, you can go to ChatGPT or Claude today and in 30 minutes have something that's more detailed than that binder was that you would have gotten from the firms back in the day. And way deeper.
That's where we've been really working, is like getting away from just the surface of like, my ideal client, has back pain and No, it's like, what does their day look like? What is, what are thoughts in their head? What does their journal look like? And I love that you can just kind of really work with that and get really deep and specific.
And reference it. So as opposed to this binder that sat on the shelf that no one in the marketing department actually looked at,
Mhm.
you'd actually, it can go into your back into your chat, and that's what you can reference, and you can start creating content that speaks directly to them. And that's like the powerful thing. You've got your book and your content and your manuscript, or your webinars that you've recorded as you're working on your book. You've got your ideal client sussed out, and then you're just creating content pulled from your IP, from your material, speaking directly to your ideal client about their problems, their concerns, and creating content that speaks and resonates at a really deep level.
And for me, this really to me is the ecosystem. This is
Hmm.
really the whole, this is the content to book. And, that's what the title of this podcast episode, as I have it now, is called Your Book Isn't the Business, It's the Doorway.
Hmm.
Yes.
I'm even going to take it a step further. Your content is the machine that feeds all of this. And there's so many ways to do this. But what I'd love to do is I'd love to give everyone here listening, and I'll ask for both of your support with this, is like we talked about a lot.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'd like to give them like, okay, I've listened to Paige and Brian and Rodney. I want to get like what's like an action plan that they can start listening as they're listening, that they can start doing to at least get on the road to creating, again, this what I'm calling this ecosystem that can be built around a book. What
We
suggestions
might
do
have a
you
little
have?
something that could support people around doing that.
Tell us, Paige.
Well, I will give you a plan, and then we've kind of created a resource because I knew we were going to be talking about ecosystem, and Paige and I were like literally like, so what can we do to really support people that no matter where they are? And I think that's the thing. That's what I love about kind of what Rodney's created, is that it's like for creators who you're either authors, want to be authors. It's this beautiful thing, and you've got this system kind of set up to help people create content or create a book based on content, based on their expertise, kind of like all different ways to kind of get into getting the book, which I think is wonderful. But so it kind of depends on where you are in your in your expert content creation. I'll call it your book content creation because I think that'll be the easiest way to kind of separate it from content.
Mhm.
If you haven't done anything yet, the best thing you can do is literally pull out your iPhone and hit the voice memo recorder and just riff for at least minimum 30 minutes about what you want to talk about. Just go, 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 go. Just get something out, get it in, get it transcribed, throw it into ChatGPT, and use that as kind of the base of where you're going to start. If you've already got some stuff together, same thing. You just want to get the more information, kind of like we were talking about the intern earlier, the more information you can give the intern, ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, of what you've got, and the more that it can reference, the better the content's going to be that it's going to be able to output.
It's like your
So
little
give
ghostwriter.
You're right, the ghostwriter, right? So you could, and you can, and if you've got a book, even better, just boom, pop that in there. If you got multiple books, boom, even better.
Yes.
And just talk about what you want to do. And then here's the thing that chat the large language models, they're not Google. Don't just go there and like just type in like something you would type into Google. Let it know exactly what you want. When it brings stuff back to you, direct it. Say, no, that doesn't sound like me. No, no, I don't wear a bow tie. No, come on.
Yes.
Loose, conversational people, come on.
Yes.
Right. But don't take it at face value that what it's kicking back to you is great, because it's not gonna be. And it's not gonna be you. Get into that dialogue just like you would with an intern, and just kind of like until you get it really close.
Mhm.
If you can get AI to get you to get to about 90% of what feels good, you're there. Stop, because you're never going to get to 100. And the more that you try to iterate from that place, the worse it's going to get. It's actually going to wind up going downhill. Take that piece it gave you, make it your own, zhuzh it up a little bit, add a little bit of your story. If put contractions in there if that's how you talk, whatever that is, make it your own, and then post that. See what response it gets. See what kind of traction, what speaks to people, what's happening, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of, no matter where you are, you can create content today. Like, you can stop as soon as this podcast is done, you can go do that, and you can post something on Facebook, LinkedIn, Insta, TikTok, wherever your audience is hanging out. That's where you should post this,
Mhm.
and just start getting some traction, start getting some ideas going around with what's going on for you. Again, you could drop a prompt in. Give me the top 5 mic drop moments from what I was just talking about in my transcript. So that's how you could start, like today, like just like boom, cold turkey. And what we wanted to share with everybody is our authentic content multiplier, which is how you can turn one idea into weeks of content, conversations, and client opportunities. And basically, what we're going to do it's some prompts and some teaching that Paige and I have of kind of talking you through how to repurpose and how to use our repurposing loop, which is kind of talking about how to create content, which I think is perfect for people who already have stuff, right? Like if you're in the book writing process, you can just pop into it and get it rolling. And the URL is really easy. It's authenticmarketing.ai /Rodney. So it's everybody should be able to remember what it is. But it's one of those things.
This is for content for not just social media. Everybody associates content with social media because it's like content creators and you're on social media. But remember, your content is not just for social media. It's for talks that you're doing. It's for offers that you make. It's for your programs. It's for your conversations with people, your invitations, your sales pages, your lead page, all of everywhere you're putting your message out there.
Your book signing events.
Yes, your book tours, your virtual book tour, whatever you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah. So this can help you to like really, you can take it as far as you want to.
Mm-hmm. Well, and to add to that, I want to add this one point. I want you both to finish your point is podcast interviews that you do.
100%.
Because I'm actually going to be doing a podcast workshop soon called Paid to Talk.
Nice.
It's so interesting. We're talking about this really quickly. So again, I've been doing this stuff long before this AI thing was even anything anyone knew about.
Right?
Like, oh my God. If I had had the tools, back then.
Right. But I wouldn't have done.
But I remember when Apple first came out with actually the podcast app, the tool.
Mm-hmm.
I had taken, and I just found it on my podcast reader. I actually took chapters from my book and recorded individual podcast episodes.
Oh wow!
Back in 2010.
Nice.
And I don't have the feed up anymore, so I need to take it down because it doesn't really exist anymore. I was hoping, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I still got that up there. But anyway, the point I want to make is you don't have to have your own podcast. And I wouldn't recommend you do, because this was my fourth one. This is the only one I've stuck with. So the one I have now, but anyway, I'm saying you don't have to actually start your own podcast. But what is happening right now with Paige and Brian being a guest on my podcast, there are tons, the podcasting space right now, folks, please hear me. Podcasting space right now, especially because video podcasting is become really the thing now. Yeah. First of all, get over being on camera. Just get over it. Do whatever you got to do to get over it. Whatever you got to do, get over it. Secondly, there are so many podcasters out there looking for experts, looking for people to talk to about, the topic. And that's another conversation another day about.
And if you've got a book, it's easier to book.
Yeah, well, yes, yes, absolutely. But I'm even going to take it a step further with that, Brian. Though, if you are in the process of even thinking about creating the book or in the process of creating the book, still, because you can be the author of the forthcoming book.
Yep, exactly.
And now, because of tools like AI, you can do what I've done. Actually, I have it right here. I'll pull it up really quick. I just didn't have it right on my side here. Of course, as I'm trying to grab this, moving further away from me.
that ever-moving goal line.
It's like, hey, no, come this way. So my book here, The Authorpreneur Decision, this is actually just a mock-up. This is the cover. This is the back. The inside of this is completely blank. I'm working on this right now. So you can literally create something like this, go on, pitch yourself to get on shows, author of the forthcoming book, have hopefully a great conversation. Make sure it's an interviewer that's, that both of you are aligned, personally. And, you get a good interview out of it. Then take that transcript, from that interview, do everything that Brian and Paige are talking about. Now you're putting out content, but that podcast, because this is something I really want to make sure I say here. A lot of people who get themselves booked on podcast don't do anything with that guest appearance.
Yep.
They leave it all up to the podcast to do all the marketing. Dude, do that. You were missing out on a massive opportunity because that's a content piece that you didn't have to produce.
That's right.
Now, with these wonderful tools that we're talking about today, you take the reins, you take control of the narrative. The podcaster will love you for it because you're doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
Yes,
But
please.
guess what? It's giving you an opportunity to get your content out there. And then this is what I'm going to add on to that. I recommend you do is to make your invitation to get on a call with you, like what Paige talked about earlier. Now you're getting a chance to have that conversation with people to see what it is that they want. Again, who knows? They may even be featured in your book. We're dropping nuggets here, people. I hope you're picking it up.
Dropping the
Come on.
nuggets, y'all.
Come on.
There's a lot of nuggets on this one
That's
today.
good nuggets.
All
we're
over the
dropping nuggets
place.
here, so
I will
it's
drop
like, yeah, go ahead,
one.
please.
I'll do a nug. Well, I got a couple nuggets, but the first one is just when getting over being on camera. I've been working behind the camera for 40 years now, which is hurts me to say a little bit sometimes. But the biggest thing to do is just to start getting in front of a camera. Just, I mean, the fact that Rodney was doing Zooms every single week and he got pointed out to him by his clients, you're on camera every week, dude. So just do it, right? Because it's a muscle memory. The reason that these three little things are scary is because you don't look at them ever. Those little lenses on the back of your phone are scary because you never look at them. Just literally start going on your walks. You could do the back camera and just talk into it. Just record yourself. Just get used to seeing yourself on a little screen.
Yes.
The cool thing is that most people ain't watching you on their 80-inch televisions. They're watching you on this little 4-inch wide screen.
Yes.
So you don't have to worry too much about that.
Yes.
But just start using the muscle memory. Start doing Zooms. Start getting booked on podcasts. Just start doing stuff where you get comfortable doing it. When you're when Ronnie talked about just starting to record some content and do some stuff, just go to your Zoom and just record yourself on your Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
The cool thing is that gives you a transcript too, right? So you can just literally, so it's like just start being on camera. That will help a ton with that. And then from I love, and we said this when we talked before about when you showed the book before to us when we were on our pre-Zoom. And I love that from just it's a great prop. It's an awesome prop. And it's actually, when I was working on the New York Times bestseller, we had the cover and we would actually use it for promotional stuff beforehand because you don't have, you don't even have the galleys yet.
Mm-hmm.
But from a manifestation place, Wayne Dyer would always have the book cover created first and have his publisher send him the book before he started writing it. So he could always, when he sat down to write, he always saw the cover of his book.
Yes.
There's something powerful about having a tangible representation of what you're trying to create because you're not building it out of ether anymore. You've actually got it. And I think it's awesome that you do that and that you do that with your client. You're supporting them around what are ways that we can make this happen, not just from a marketing perspective, but a getting it done perspective.
Yes. Yes, yes. I know about Wayne Dyer. Actually, what actually inspired this was there's she wrote the book Creative Visualization and Living in the Light, Shakti Gawain.
Yeah.
Oh, I love her. Yeah.
And she, in her book, this was how long ago
I
that
have
was.
that book. Yeah.
That's some old school right there.
That's old,
Yep, I got that,
old
baby.
school. Yeah,
Yep.
But she had the cover, her business partner did the cover for the book. And she pasted it up over her typewriter.
Nice.
And people, because she already had a network, she already had people, I think, were taking classes with her. But the minute she said she was writing this book, people were paying her for the book. And a year had gone by and she had not sat down and wrote a word. And people were saying she was going to give the money back. And they were like going, no, we want the book.
Mm-hmm.
And so she kept going back and she started visualizing what the book would look like to have it in her hand and hold it. So I modernized it because we've got these wonderful, print on demand tools. And I said, I'm going to take it a step further. I'm actually going to print an actual mock-up of the physical book. And it sits here on my desk. I put it sometimes by my bed at night. And I look at it because it's one of those things that reminds me, yes, you're doing this.
Love it.
You're writing this. So again, if you take what we're saying today, we've given you the playbook. Get Brian and Paige's tool, on content creation. I've got a workshop coming up. Well, I have several, but I would say join my school community right now so you can stay on top of what I'm doing. And I would just say, get over, please do yourself a tremendous favor. Get over being on camera. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter what, no one really cares. And though what they say, those who care don't matter, and those who matter don't mind, or something like that. I can't remember how it goes.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make is get over it because they're going to see you anyway. They're going to see you anyway, if they
That's
work
right.
with you. And if someone's going to quote unquote discount you because of something maybe you were thinking, they're not your person anyway.
Mm-mm.
So don't worry about that,
Yep.
And listen, as someone who's 62, I get it. I heard this about being on camera years ago when I was 15 years younger than I am right now, and I didn't want to do it back then. And now, when this is completely white, now I want to get on camera, but it's like, get over yourself, dude. It's like, because at the end of the day, when someone comes and says to me, I saw one of your videos on YouTube, and they're wanting to work with me. What are we doing, folks? It's like, get over yourself. Get over yourself. And truly, and if you're really committed to helping people with the message that you have created,
Hmm.
again, no one's gonna. What would you not let your surgeon operate on you that could help you because you don't like the way they look, unless they're not clean? But, but I'm just saying, would you not want? People don't care about that stuff. People do,
Nope.
but those who are not your people. So
Nope.
get over yourself. Use these tools. We came up at a time when we didn't have any of these resources
Mm-mm.
available to us. It is so much easier now. But I would just add to that, do everything you can to do whatever your content does to get people into what Paige said at the very beginning, which I am 10 toes down on. Get on the phone with folks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Listen to what they're saying.
Yeah.
Ask for permission to record the conversation because you're not going to be able to write down everything they say.
Yep.
Take those transcripts from those conversations, and then with the tool that and the prompts and so forth that Paige and Brian are giving you, then start to distill down because you want to say it exactly how they say it, not what we come up with being all marketing. We want to
Right.
we want to say it the way they say it because that's how they know we get them.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, create
Absolutely.
every opportunity that you can to talk to your people, do classes, do workshops, even as you're writing your book, that's field study that can make an even better product. So it really is an ecosystem. If you really think about it, all you're doing is you're making your role, your life easier, and you're making the people that you're here to impact have such a much more richer experience because
Mhm.
they're not just buying this on Amazon and then going off on their own and then they're like, okay, now what's next? Next book.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like Paige said earlier, if you don't ask, they're going to go to someone that does have a
Hmm.
program, that does have a
Right.
course, that does have something else. So we really, get out of our own way, get out of our own way because you wouldn't be listening to this if this wasn't something that you really want for yourself. You wouldn't
Right.
be here watching this. And whether you watch it now or a year from now, whatever. So I'll just say to land the plane, that's my favorite thing I like to say is take the nuggets that we've given you today, take action, take action. Even on the days when you don't feel like it, just do something. Set a timer, say for 10 minutes, I'm gonna, even 5, I'm gonna turn the camera on, just record something. It may be the biggest slog in the world. Post that sucker. I dare you, you know, and then put an invitation in it to get into your world.
Yep.
join your school community. If you don't have a landing page set up, at least get something started, because this is what I know for a fact. You've got to have a two-way conversation. It cannot just be us talking at people. You've got to have some kind of way to get the conversation two-way, because that's where your gold is. That's where once you hear what they're saying, how they're saying it, what emotions come up for them. Are they angry? Are they sad? Whatever's coming up for them, get that intel, because that's going to help you shape better programs, better experiences,
Yeah.
and help you create things that's going to help them, and then help you get your work out there and, dare I say, make more money.
Yep. There you go.
Paige, Brian, do you have anything to add to this? We could talk for hours, and I
We
need
could.
to
We
wrap
could.
this.
But no, yeah. No, when you landed the plane, so I feel like I need to get my overhead bags. No, but I agree with everything you said, and I think that if you kind of going back to thinking about the title of the podcast again, it's like the book's just the entryway. It's just the place, and if you've got enough drive to write a book and to create a book and put it down on in black and white, have the drive to take it farther and actually help people, because the book's only going to take people so far. You have the opportunity to really help with this whatever transformation your work is going to help people have in their lives, and there's an exchange that happens. They have transformation, you get monetization. So it's like, so I think it's a great opportunity for you to reach more people. And the beautiful thing is that you can't help a lot of people and not make a lot of money. And that's just the
Mhm,
awesome thing. So help a lot of people, make a lot of money, live the life you want.
mhm, mhm.
There you go.
Love that. Paige, yeah.
I'm just gonna put big
Ditto.
exclamation point on
Ditto.
that.
I love it. 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 Well, again, thank you both so much. This has been a while in putting together, but I'm so glad we did it. This has really inspired me a lot,
Mhm.
reinvigorated me a lot too. And I hope the same, for you. And
Oh yes, such a
yeah,
good conversation. Always, Rodney. Always.
Always.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, I think in our own little worlds that we've been in cohabitating, we're like soulmates in a way. We just kind of keep
Yes.
coming back,
Yep.
coming back to each other. So, what you both are doing right now is really helping take away so much, because it is more challenging now in the entrepreneur space. But again, these tools, if we know how to use them properly, and that's what we really
Mhm.
talked about
Yep.
today,
Yep.
using these tools properly really can make your life a whole lot easier.
Yep.
But you've got to have the playbook to be able to do that. So again, I'm going to recommend again highly. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. Be able to go over there and get their Paige and Brian's resource. Join my school community to stay on top of all the things that I'm doing and what I'm working on.
Yes.
And and like I said, and let me know what things you want to talk about more. Like I said, who knows? The three of us may collab on something together, in the future. I would love that. So,
Oh,
because I feel like it's a full circle, like
Mhm.
that content piece to get people in the door, and then have that packaged up as a book is my lane, and help you get that out there. And
love
just,
it.
if you found this, obviously it's because it's for you.
Mhm.
So, and if you watched all the way, we went a little longer than I planned, but if you watched all of this, you must really want to do this. So why not?
That's right. That's right.
Why not? All righty.
Go for it.
So I will see you all on the next episode of the podcast. And please
Yeah.
share this, like, and subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube, or follow me on, I think, Spotify and iTunes and all the other fun places that I'm out there on. And I'll see you on the next episode of the podcast. All right. Thank you all
Bye,
so much.
everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you so much.